Welcome, relational leaders and listeners. This is Cultivate, your podcast destination where we celebrate thriving relational leaders and encourage each other along the influence journey. I am Wendy F. Adams, your host and strategic guide. In each episode, I will engage with leaders who are sharing authentic stories that support impactful influence. I believe work shouldn't be a four-letter word, but should inspire, challenge, and fulfill. Through a high challenge and high support model, we will explore the recipe for relational leadership that drives meaningful change. You will gain insights from leaders who face the same challenges you may encounter and discover strategies to navigate them with resilience and purpose. Today, we're sitting down with an extraordinary leader who's redefining what it means to empower others to thrive. Meet Mira Zhivkova, a dynamic people-first executive dedicated to transforming communities and championing workplace excellence. In December 2023, Mira stepped into her new role as the Chief Operating Officer of Community Partners of South Florida, bringing with her over a decade of experience in strategic leadership. She's known for turning big visions into impactful strategies, fostering diversity and inclusion, and creating cultures where people and entire communities flourish. From spearheading operations to mentoring future leaders, Mira's passion for community development extends far beyond the workplace. Whether she's optimizing policies, supporting behavioral health initiatives, or advocating for change, one thing is clear: she's here to change the odds for children and families facing adversity. If you're seeking healthy leadership engagement in an open, empowering, and authentic environment, then you're in the right place. After all, as leaders, we're either driving progress or we're driving the problem. So let's grow together. Welcome to a fresh episode of Cultivate. Today, we have an extraordinary leader who's redefining empowerment. Mira Zhivkova, COO at Community Partners of South Florida, joining us in the studio today. Mira, we are thrilled to have you here for the Cultivate experience.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm so excited to be here. Can't wait to chat with you and share my story, and I'll tell you all about Community Partners of South Florida.
It is a wonderful story, Mira, and I can't wait for the audience to get an opportunity like I have with you in the green room. You know, every great conversation, it has one thing in common. That time flies by so fast. So we're going to jump in right away. And Mira, tell the audience a little bit about your role and how Community Partners of South Florida is making an impact in their sphere of influence.
Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate the question so much. So I am currently the Chief Operating Officer for Community Partners of South Florida, and I have been with the agency for about 4 years now. I think what makes me a good leader and a unique one at that is my background. My background stems from HR. I have a lot of passion in HR, and I know we're going to dive a little bit deeper as we go into the conversation. And I also have business management degree and an education degree. So with all of that, I joined Community Partners of South Florida right after COVID. During the time, we all took time to reflect on who we want to be when we grow up and what makes us happy. And for me, that was leaving the for-profit sector and joining an organization that truly makes a difference in the lives of our residents in the community and also our employees. So a little bit about Community Partners of South Florida. We specialize in mental health, housing, and community services. We are nested in the heart of Palm Beach County, which is a wonderful county to live in, but it does have a lot of challenges. In the mental health space, we have such a shortage in providers. We have one mental health provider for 400 residents. Wow. And then about 18% of our Palm Beach County residents don't have access to insurance. And so just to put that in numbers, we're looking at about close to 300,000 people. So with that, we do have a large part of our organization is connecting residents to resources. We have wonderful funders who allow us to carry out the work and provide mental health services to uninsured and underinsured population. In addition to this, I just want to mention about the housing issue. A big problem for us is during COVID, the rents in Palm Beach County increased over 40%. And the Palm Beach County has announced that there is about 80,000 units shortage of affordable housing. So for someone to afford a two-bedroom apartment right now in Palm Beach County, you need to be making at least $90,000. So we offer affordable solutions, and we walk the line with our clients, whether they're on their journey to home ownership or just making sure that they're able to preserve their home ownership and have sustainable housing opportunities to them.
Mira, we could stop right there. Oh my goodness. And just to think that what you said right up front, all of this for you really came out of that space of after COVID, am I doing what I'm called to do? Am I in my most meaningful and purposeful space? And you're right. So many of us ask that question. I think that's probably the gift that we received from COVID. When you talk about the mental health crisis and you pair that with affordable housing, a place where you can feel safe and call your sanctuary, whether you own or you rent, those things go hand in hand, right? They really cannot be separated. And I think it's a beautiful picture to see what the organization is doing and how Community Partners of South Florida is speaking into that need. Your leadership journey, and we're going to get deeper into that, is nothing short of inspiring. And so I'd love for you to share what specifically ignited your passion for community development and pairing that with being a leader in that space. Was there a really defining moment for you on the path?
Thank you, Wendy. Absolutely. I believe, and I've seen it. It's most of us who are in the nonprofit sector connect on a personal level with the
Mm-hmm.
mission and the work we carry out. Our employees, our stakeholders, all have a journey and a story. One of the challenges in the nonprofit sector is salaries, and we're always looking for ways to improve that. But we certainly are here because of the passion and the work we do, more so than the financial sustainability.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, the defining moment, I had my calling to support teams and continue to grow in HR early in my career. When I was pregnant with my daughter many years ago, I had to take a leave of absence. And at the time, my employer didn't quite extend the FMLA option. So when I got back to work, which was just a short 3 months, really, when I got back to work, I was informed that yes, I get to keep my position, but I lose all my benefits and I have to restart my tenure. Now, I
Mm.
had been with the agency already for 7 or 8 years, so I had a nice benefit package that all went away. And at the time, I started thinking something is not right. I didn't know my employee rights. I wasn't quite as well educated, and I started my journey. I wanted to make sure that no one is in the same position. That HR is more than just a personnel function, but rather connects with the employees on their life journey, and it helps them navigate whatever comes their way in a partnership. So it does not have to be one or the other. And that kind of led me to pursue HR learning and growth. And I got my certificate and I joined Community Partners of South Florida in 2021 as the HR director for the agency. So I've served in that role prior to assuming the COO role.
And you said it so well. The connection between your why and the organization's why, that has to be aligned. That makes all of the difference. And to hear you say, I didn't know enough, but I knew something was off. I knew some, and instead of stepping out, you stepped up into that space to do for others, not just yourself. And so that's to be applauded. Now, you mentioned you didn't start as a COO with the organization, right? You've stepped into this role, I think, in 2023, and congratulations on that major milestone. How has that transition challenged and shaped the leader that you are today, moving from HR, which hopefully had a seat around the table, but now definitely in that C suite?
Thank you, Wendy. This is a great question. It's been quite a transition. In all
Mm,
honesty, it is challenging. Being in the HR director role, I was part of the senior leadership team already, so I was exposed to a lot of the opportunities and challenges, and well connected with the team. So in my mind, this was an easy step forward. But it really wasn't. There's a whole other world once you join the officers team. I just want to give a shout out to my team. We are the first female officer team for the agency. And I love working alongside by such inspiring leaders. I've learned a lot from them. Our CEO, Kelly Powell, was promoted from within. Our CFO, Natalie O'Hara, was promoted from within. And Jamie Lee Bradshaw, our Chief Strategy Officer, was promoted from within as well. So we make a great team. We learn from each other. We support each other through different challenges. But also, what I wasn't aware is how difficult it is to leverage resources
mm,
um, and scale back on operations. We are so mission driven. There's a big need for services. I was looking at our dashboard, Wendy, and we had received over 140 referrals for services in less than 72 hours. And since the beginning of our fiscal year, which is October of 2024, we have served over 4,600 clients. So the need is there, and we want to get to everyone. We want to support families and children facing adversity and change the odds. But sometimes we're constrained. And that's the challenge, the biggest challenge
hmm
and lesson I've learned stepping into this role. How do we diversify our funding? How do we remain sustainable? How do we expand services? How do we make even bigger impact and difference in our communities?
And you said it. I mean, think of those numbers are staggering, staggering, and you want to and not ignore anyone. I mean, they're already in a place in a space where they are feeling, unfortunately, that hopelessness. You don't want to be, yeah, we're here for you, but we really can't be. What's your process for making sure that ideas don't just sound good, but actually are able to change the lives of those that you're calling to serve?
That's a great question. So we are very data driven agency, and we love storytelling, but we also like to put data behind the stories we tell. Recently, well, about 2 3 years ago, we started a journey and we adopted a platform
Hmm.
that combines all the different softwares and databases that we use around the agency to provide like a bird's overview of how we serve the clients, what are the services that are most popular, where's the demand. So we listen to the community and we make sure that we adapt and change as the communities change, or as the community's needs are changing as well.
And that makes a tremendous difference, right? We can't just anecdotally say this is what we're doing. There really
Mhm.
needs to be, where's that true impact? And that also lets us speak into, where do we need to make change? The thing that I think we are challenged with so often in the nonprofit space is, well, this is the way we've always done it. Well, nothing is the way that it's always been, right? And to be able to support those ever changing needs an attitude and an openness from leadership like you're speaking of. So you're right. Kudos to you and your team. We know the challenges are there, and we'll dig into a little bit more of that. One of, I think, the biggest pieces to that challenge is the culture of an organization, the culture of a workplace, which is always, well, the culture doesn't change, but the atmosphere, the surroundings, the people are different and they change. So you are an advocate for diversity, inclusion, and equity. I know this. We've talked about that. What's a hard truth that you feel, especially in your role, in the senior role now, that leaders need to accept to make real progress in that space?
Well, I'm going to give you a snapshot of the agency and our workforce to just better understand who we are. We're about 200 employees currently, and we have contractors as well. So that would put us close to like 250.
Mm,
Of the whole workforce, about 76% belong to a minority group, or they're part of an underserved group. So for us, equity, inclusion, belonging, it's a big part of who we are, of what we do. We value so much diverse opinions, and we make sure that our employees represent and connect well with the community we serve as well. Um, I just want to go back, Wendy. Can you repeat your question, the second part of the question? I forgot it.
Well, yeah. What's that hard truth that you think leaders
The
may
hard
be
truth.
pushing back from that they really need to accept if they want to see progress?
Absolutely. So for us, professional development is key. Again, I
Mm,
was looking at some data, and on average, our employees stay with us for about 5 years, which I think is great because in our economy, most everyone moves around in a year to 2 years. So what
yes.
keeps our employees in place? About a third of our employees have in the past year, just in the past year, have assumed new positions or have moved into leadership roles. So we're constantly keeping a pulse on our employees, listening to understand and really to hear and to make a difference. And so we do a lot of cross collaboration. We're fortunate that we offer different services. And so they're able to transition through internships, through mentorship programs, through professional development, and really find the right spot in the agency. Sometimes that's different from where you start. So for us, it's really focusing on the individual versus trying to put everyone into a mold,
Mm,
understanding that sometimes a shortcoming is really not a failure, but rather it's an opportunity for growth. And how do we nurture that in order to create a supportive environment where everyone just feels happy? It's that gut check on Monday morning. What do you feel like? Are you happy that it's Monday and you want to really head out to the office and see your clients? Or is it like, no, this is the wrong place for me to be? So that's where we are, and I think those are some of the challenges that leaders need to lean more into. Listen to the workforce, and if you have high turnover, if things aren't quite adding up, it not might be the employees, it might be the culture itself that's dragging it.
oh, now you're stepping on toes. But that's exactly it. We've got to look at all sides of this. It is not just who's showing up, but where are they? Where are they showing up? What environment are we creating? And so it's the and both of that, which actually has you step into something that I know that you feel very strongly about, and that's empowerment. Not using that as just a buzzword that we just throw around, but how do you actually, and now you're working with your team of executives, how do you ensure that people you lead and serve aren't just supported, but that they're thoroughly and truly empowered to thrive?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question, Wendy. I've given it some thought. I'm
Mm,
stepping into this role. I engage with a different level leadership. So it took a little time for me to learn and understand who they are, what are their whys, what drives them, in order to be able to support. So that was step one. To
mm,
empower someone, I think it's relationship building, creating that trust. And the leaders wanting to make a change and you empowering them to do that. So we have kind of like a flat leadership structure. We don't necessarily pay a whole lot of attention on titles in our agency. Rather, we collaborate. We have a safe space for think tanks where we just drop ideas. We have a very transparent culture, so we share a lot of information. Our CFO would, on biweekly basis, inform how are we doing, where do we need to step in and do more, what are some of the wins and victories that we're celebrating. So sharing
mhm.
information creates lots of empowerment, because then you know what the next step is, and also you're ensuring that your leaders are well aligned with where the agency is going, and the mission, and how do we continue to expand our services and impact.
I love the way you painted that picture is there are open spaces at that table.
Mhm.
Obviously, you do carry a title, and there is weight to what that title is called up into, and you recognize that that is about the influence that you have in and for those that you are leading. And so I really appreciate that you have a seat at the table and you're inviting others. You said it, safe space. We've got to be able to bring in all of the ideas, voices to be heard, they're necessary, and then let's move forward together on keeping the mission at the forefront, what's going to point us in that direction. And it isn't a title, right? It's the collective minds and those hearts that are aligned. I think that's a picture that we cannot take for granted, and that's what I'm hearing from you, some intentionality there. You have mentored several in your space, not just in your current role, but prior to. What do you think is the most underrated skill today for those emerging change makers, those ones who are coming up? What do you think that they are maybe not paying as much of attention to as they should?
I definitely, there's a number of skills, but if I have to name one that stands out, I would say definitely critical thinking.
Mm,
Um, People are able to learn in the space they are, even if they're not subject matter experts. You can become a subject matter expert. And I get this question a lot, like, how do you go from being an HR director to leading housing, mental health, community services? This is really not in your area of expertise, but there's so much to it. So you do really learn as you step into different spaces. But critical thinking to me is the one skill set that without it, you're not able to really make a meaningful change. Assessing processes, being able to scale back when needed, being able to expand when needed, and also being very proactive. I think some of the leaders fall short when and doing a disservice to their agency when they just address fires versus preventing the fires from happening. So what I'm looking for in my succession planning and in my team is, and anyone really in the agency is, who's showing initiative without being asked, who's
mm,
making a change, and really supporting their team or supporting the agency's mission without really being called on. And then how are they doing it? What are they applying? What ideas do they bring to the table? And how do we work together then as a team to move that forward? So that's probably the one thing that stands out to me the most.
and I think that that is it's impactful. I mean, we don't want to just fly over that. So I know many leaders that are going to engage with this, and those in an emerging space. I'm loving having those conversations because they're hungry to learn. Let's not make the same mistakes. There are other opportunities for growth to be stepped into there. But you're so right. We're not called to be that type of first responder. You're responding in a different way. We're not firefighters, right? Let's what can we do to prevent those spaces and be more proactive? I love that you're bringing that forward because we know the nonprofit sector, it comes with unique challenges. I mean, talk about the staggering numbers that you brought forth in the beginning of our conversation. And so we need to come to the table with some unique responses. In the team that you're serving with right now, what's the most pressing issue in leadership that you're tackling and that's bringing you maybe some tension? And as you just you try to determine what's our strategy in moving forward. What's that space for you right now in that tension space?
Wendy, let me make sure I understand the question correct.
Yes.
So you're asking me within the team, um, or the team that I'm part of, what are the challenges we're seeing in the leadership space?
Yes.
Is that correct? Yes.
Yes, yes. As you are determining strategy for your future, you mentioned succession planning. So you're looking ahead, but you have things right in front of you. So there's that tension. How are you tackling that within as the leaders making those decisions?
Hmm. Let me take a moment to think about it. And it's not due to lack of challenges. It's just streamlining the answer to the one that's in the
Absolutely.
forefront right now. I think one of the biggest challenges we're seeing is that to to be a leader, you have to understand that you're a partner, um,
Mm,
and also a lot of times leaders are promoted to their roles without necessarily having that proper training on how to handle teams. So we have adopted a few different strategies within the agency. One of them is we are utilizing a behavioral health assessment on how to
mm,
connect better with each other. So we did this training about a year ago where we learned about our own personal profiles. Um, Turns out we're not as self-aware as we all thought we were. Um, But what's
Welcome
our
to the club.
Yes, that's not me, is the first reaction. And then a week later, after reading it 10 times, so yeah, I actually recognize those traits. But what that did for us as an agency, and especially for our leaders, is it created awareness of how their team likes to receive information, how they like to
Yes.
communicate, how they like to be recognized, and how basically we're different from each other. So just because I need to prepare for something for 3 days does not apply to my colleague who's ready to run with it on the spot and do just as great. So, learning and appreciating who we are for our uniqueness, I think, has helped our leadership bond better with their teams, create more understanding, and just collaborate at a better level.
I love that you took the moment to pause in that. We learn best truly in the place of challenge. And that's one of the things, in our conversation and discussion here at Cultivate is that we want to celebrate and we want to be a place where we can support each other in those places that are challenging. But to do that, we got to talk about the challenges. And I love that your authenticity said, you know what? We weren't as self-aware. That is a place that we tend to kind of go on autopilot. I know, and I know me, and I know that. But when you took that time to pause with your leadership team and see really where are we? Because being that self aware, the surroundings and what's taking place around us speak into who's showing up in the room. We are 360-degree people.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just check at the door depending on family, your own health and wellness. And so how does that play in? I think that is one of the key messages that I want our audience today to really take away from. It's what speaks into everything else you're saying. You mentioned retention and the fact that you're doing really well in that space, seeing internal movement, people staying for 5 years. Are you kidding me? I mean, we know in the nonprofit space, there can be a turnover rate in the fundraising capacity in 16 months. So there are things that you're doing really, really well. And I love to see, hey, we don't have it all together, but this is what we're recognizing needs to be done. So thank you so much for sharing in that capacity. You know, Innovation, because again, nothing's standing still, especially in this nonprofit space. It requires a mindset that needs to be shifted, which a lot of times I say starts with our vocabulary, even how we speak about things. So, do you see any old ways of thinking or operating that you're so excited to say is not within the organization you're in, or that you've seen since you've been there really change and how you've disrupted that space for the better that you'd want the audience to be able to hear?
Thank you, Wendy. Great question. So the first one that comes immediately to me is just the amount of paperwork that was surrounding us, and transitioning to all digital files and utilizing better platforms to just streamline the work, so that we can automate processes and do more in an 8-hour day than we have done in the past few years. And you're absolutely right. I think with COVID, I'm going to go back just for
Mm-hmm.
a minute, but with COVID, we discovered that, yeah, we can improve operations, and yes, we could be more efficient. And it's okay to have Teams meetings every once in a while or online meetings and not have to do everything in person. Yes, you can work remote as well and be just as efficient as if you are spending 8 hours at your work desk. So, what emerged from COVID for our agency is, one, we created a hybrid structure. So we're allowing our teams to
Mm.
be 3 days at the office and work 2 days remotely. We created a flexible policy, a scheduling policy, which allows young moms or young parents to be able to flex their time and still be very productive and still carry out their responsibility. We also transferred most, I want to say we're almost complete with all of our files throughout the whole agency. Everything's digital. We have a platform which we share internally, and all employees have access at real time information as they need it, whereas before it would be like, if I'm not in the office, I'm not able to provide that information. So I think that has helped a lot too. And in terms of just processes, we're continuously evaluating. We are not the same agency we were 3 or 4 years ago
Mm-hmm.
because of that. And we're continuously looking for improvements. But a really big one for us is just making data-driven decisions and understanding our work through numbers, understanding how to align expenses and revenues so that we are sustainable. An outdated practice, I think, is for nonprofit agencies to accept contracts which are in deficit, and it creates a burden on the agency. So we're looking to shift that mindset, and really, when we are having those conversations with funders, asking for contracts that actually allow us to operate, cover admin costs and core services, which are typically not built into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's a practice that we are adopting very well in order to, again, create sustainability for the agency and be able to pay a decent living wage for the people who carry out all that work.
Well said. Well said. I love that you're stepping into pushing against that status quo, right? What are the things that we learn from COVID? What are the things that we've learned from this shift in the way that we do work that should come alongside? Was a point of this is just what we have to do, right? To keep things moving. And now we have a choice. How much of that comes with us and how much of it do we leave behind to be most efficient in the space? And so pushing against that status quo is key in leadership, right? It's not always about strategy is important. That's not always our biggest roadblock. It really is bandwidth and how are we going to execute on that strategy. And that's what I'm hearing from your leadership is that you're having that conversation and you're inviting others to be a part of it around the table. So kudos to you for that. As we turn the corner here, crazy as it sounds, our time is almost up. I do want to add throw some popcorn questions your way that really resonate with you, right? If you obviously in the position that you're in, what's one leadership value that for you will never compromise on? This is a must have for you.
I think I'm going to go with integrity.
Yes, yes, love it, love it. And because you can't get around that. I mean, right? We talked about trust. If you are a woman of your word and that's how you're walking out how you do, then those that you're calling alongside you, they know that they can trust your word. And then what is the biggest misconception that you think people have about executive leadership?
I think it's just knowing what to expect, and you really don't know until you step into those shoes. So that's to me is just probably the biggest misconception, and I've experienced it myself.
Exactly. The title didn't come with all of the answers, right? And then I think that this is really important. We talk about retention and we talk about bringing our best selves and being self aware. So, for Mira, what's your favorite way to recharge outside of work?
Outside of work, I actually like walking in nature. In Florida, sometimes it can be challenging because it is so hot, but I also love yoga. So I like just taking a step back, reflecting, being mindful, taking care of your physical health as well in order to be able to uh, show up for other people and support the agency and the work we do. Reading, I like to volunteer as well too. I like to stay connected to other nonprofit agencies
Mm-hmm.
and learn what are they doing and what are the different ways we can partner. Although we provide so many different services, there's always going to be something that our client may need that it's not within the scope of work we do. So I think it's very important in just learning about how we can come together as a nonprofit sector and really make a difference.
I love it. That's true empowerment, true partnership. What we love to use the word collaboration. That's what you're bringing out to that space. Mira, this has been such an uplifting conversation for me. And I know our audience will feel the same. I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, providing a glimpse into your relational leadership journey. And you know what? To be able to just get a taste of the amazing impact that Community Partners of South Florida is making in your community. If others want to, as they're listening, find out more, what's the best way for them to connect with the organization?
Absolutely. So certainly our website is www.cpsfl.org. There's a lot of information on it. You're welcome to find me on LinkedIn, send me a message. Love to connect and expand the network outside of Florida and continue to learn and grow in the nonprofit sector and connect with other powerful leaders.
I appreciate that. And she will respond back. So go ahead and reach out. Your passion and your insights have really just been an energizing space for me. And I know for so many others, I'm so excited for those that you're able to serve. It's been an absolute pleasure having you as a guest.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate all the thought provoking questions. I love your podcast. I'm a big fan. I'm subscribed. Can't wait to see the next episode and who you invite next. Thank you for all the great work you do and sharing awareness and paving and carving the way to what leadership really is.
Oh, well, it takes all of us. And with that, this is a wrap for us today. But remember, each of us brings our own special flavor to the mix of relational leadership. So until next time, let's keep stirring things up and making better impact and being better together. Thanks so much. Before we sign off today, I want to send out huge appreciation to our listeners for tuning in. I hope you felt seen, heard, and inspired to level up your own leadership journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're ready to level up your leadership, asking for a friend, or interested in being a guest on the show, connect with me at cultivateforgood.com. That's cultivateforgood.com. Remember, as leaders, we're either driving progress or we're driving the problem. So let's grow together.